One. We have ignition. In your face, all over the place. We're online 24/7. 24/7. You're listening to the hottest internet station.
From beautiful Saline in southeastern Michigan.
Around the world at freedomtalkradio.net.
This is the 2009 Top 10 Webcam in the World winner. This is SETV.
Good afternoon, everybody. Bill Zam here. Today is Sunday, March 16th, 2014, and this is Surrounded by Idiots, starring me, Bill Zam. We were supposed to have a possible guest coming on the show tonight. Unfortunately, his computer systems were unfortunately hacked. That's right, they were hacked, and many of his files disappeared. So he's working feverishly to get his files back and to get everything worked out. His name is Mike Campbell. He has been a previous guest on our show before, and he is the fellow that wrote the book, what I consider the definitive book about the Amelia Earhart disappearance. And he may call in at some point during the show. If he does, we'll put him right on the air, because I just happen to have my telephone system hooked up to the soundboard tonight. If you'd like to call into the show and talk to me, you can do that by calling our switchboard. You can call our switchboard, and when you call, the phone number is 712-432-0075.
This service is provided by freeconferencing.com. Please enter your access code followed by the pound. This menu will repeat.
And when you call in, all you have to do is enter in the access code.
Please enter your access code followed by the pound. This menu will repeat.
Which is 820475.
Please enter your access code followed by the pound. This menu. Access code accepted. You are the only participant in this conference.
And when you call in, you'll hear that stupid hold music. So if you don't have something really interesting to say, well, I might put you on hold so you have to listen to that music for a while. Or you can just listen to the show if you want to. But either way, we have the call board up and running right now. So let's get to the show and see what we can come up with today on Surrounded by Idiots. I am going to be talking about a couple of things. Most notably, actually, we have a special event coming up right here in the Freedom Talk Radio SBI family. Let me show you that. Hold on a second. I have to go off camera for just a second. I've got to take off the headphones to do that. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Just stay right there. You can watch the little slideshow. That's our place in northern Michigan. These are my fall photographs. I thought I would play those to make everybody nice and calm. So when we're talking about things that upset everybody, you can just look at the nice fall photographs and be nice and calm. I'll be right back. Okay, I am back. This, ladies and gentlemen, is Queen Theodora Maxine Lord's Sphincter de Catville. She has a very auspicious event coming up this week on the 20th. That's right, the first day of spring. The 20th of this month is, believe it or not, this cat's 21st birthday. This is a 21-year-old cat. Queen Theodora has been with us for 21 years. And she is still very spry. She doesn't go outside anymore. She is a retired mouse hunter. And she just basically sits around and complains all the time. Right, Ted? except she is stone cold deaf. Can't hear a thing at all, can you? Okay. Anyways, that's Queen Theodora. I thought I'd tell everybody so you could send her her happy birthday wishes. 21 years old this week. How do you like that? Anyways, last week I was telling you about some things that we do around here because if you're a regular part of the audience, you know that I am somewhat of a prepper. I like to prepare for things. I prepare for what I believe are logical events that could happen. Plus, a lot of the prepping stuff that you can do actually saves you on your monthly bills. Last week, I showed you how to provide lighting without using electricity, simply by using some of these. These are what I'm sure a lot of you have these. These are very inexpensive, little battery-operated pathway lights. They're LED lights. They're little solar-powered lights. You throw these out in the sun during the day, let them sit in the sun all day, and it will charge the battery up. And all you have to do is take a very simple jar, like this canning jar, and you can see that it provides actually quite a bit of light. Use 5 or 6 of these in a room, and you can light up an entire room without turning on any lights. And that's one of the things that we do around here. Now, this week, before we get on to the main topics of the show, I thought I'd mention food. We all love food. You love food. I love food. Even Ted Bird, the 21-year-old cat, loves food. We keep 2 basic varieties of food in storage for, let's say, we both get sick. Like my wife and I get sick and we have to stay inside and can't go out shopping. Say there's some type of a massive flu outbreak and you're in quarantine. There's a major storm and the electric is out over the entire area. That's happened around here before, and you've got no way to go. There's no grocery stores within any reasonable distance. Say we have that catastrophic economic failure that everybody keeps talking about, and there's no food on the store shelves. So we keep 2 different types of food. We keep dry goods. That would be your beans, rice, noodles, and dried potatoes. You know, your instant mashed potatoes type of variety. And these will keep a long time. Rice and beans last just about forever. And rice is great because it's still pretty cheap. I get rice by the 50-pound bag at our local Asian grocery store for less than $30. 50 pounds. It's amazing. Add some spices and vitamins and you can live a long time off of rice. And I could even show you how you can have all the nutrition that you need to stay alive for less than $100 a month. It's not that expensive. It's once you set your mind to it, it's pretty easy to do. In fact, canned foods last a lot longer than you've been led to believe. Those expiration dates on there, that's just for the store. That's not how long the food will last. Kept properly, with no light, in sealed boxes with low humidity and temperatures. Commercially canned food lasts a long time, years and years. In fact, I do a lot of my own canning too. I can in the pressure cooker, the very same pressure cooker that my grandmother made my baby food in when I was a baby. Believe it or not, I was born, not hatched, contrary to popular belief. If you know how to can, you can can your own food and it will last for years if properly processed. The key is proper processing, which is temperature and pressure. At any rate, let's get on with the show. Let me pull up the screen share so that you can see what the heck I am talking about right here on the show. And I see we don't have any callers on the caller board. Okay. Please, everybody, keep in mind that what I'm going to be talking about here and what we are going to be presenting are theories, suppositions, and opinions. These opinions, theories, and suppositions do not necessarily reflect the view of this network, our staff, or the advertisers. This is not, I repeat, not intended to be a hard-hitting investigative review of the mystery of Flight 370. It is a review of the facts that, frankly, I don't see anyone else really doing justice to. The goal here is to provide a working framework of understanding of what is going on. You will also be provided with a tidbit that you will not hear anywhere else from a website that is now down, down, down. That's later in the broadcast. This website, I was sent an article that is on this website, and it is non-functional, as in pretty much non-existent. So something happened. Don't know. I'll tell you about it later in the show. One question that popped into my mind about this Flight 370 is, was there an equivalent of an air marshal on board this particular plane? That was one of the very first questions that popped into my head. Now, despite what you're hearing, and I have been reading this and seeing it all over the place about the pilot, or you may have heard it's the co-pilot, having a flight simulator in his home. And this news is actually from last week, Friday, and it's hitting the news today. It was over 3 days ago, over 72 hours ago. You're being fed managed news. Today, Sunday, March 16th, CNN had this on their running story. The Malaysian government has been looking for a reason to search the home of the pilot and co-pilot for several days. Like they need a reason. Yeah, the airplane disappeared. There's your reason right there. But it was only in the last 24 to 36 hours, and radar and satellite data came to light that authorities believe they have sufficient reason to go through the residences, according to a U.S. official who spoke on anonymity. No, it was not in the last 24 to 36 hours. It was over 72 hours ago. This news was broadcast on the Michael Savage Show last Friday. Go on the internet, get on YouTube, wherever you go, and listen to the Michael Savage Show on Friday. They were talking about it then. It's not new news. It's not something that happened 24 to 36 hours ago. It happened days ago. It was a day old when I heard about it. But you can find a few sources like, let me see here, this one right here. What is this website right here? This is thewashingtonpost.com. Hold on one second. Let me see if I have their website. Here we go. Right here. Here's the Washington Post website. And for those of you that are watching on the video side of the show, and forgive me because I forgot to mention that if you go to freedomtalkradio.net, click on hosts and shows, you will go down to Saturday, and Bill Zam is Surrounded by Idiots. Click on that, and it will bring up the show page with the video feed on it. At any rate, this is the Washington Post website, and they are having, much like I am at freedomtalkradio.net, they have a running story on what is going on. And you can see police on Saturday searched the homes of the pilots who were in control of Malaysia Airlines flight MH370 shortly before it disappeared more than a week ago, as investigators sharpened the focus on the possibility that the plane fell victim to foul play. And they talk about the pilot and the co-pilot. And I have gotten some information during the day today that I don't know if it is actually in my show notes or not, that the pilot's family, the pilot of the aircraft, and his name is, let me see here, his name is Zahari Ahmad Shah. 53 years old. Apparently his family is not in their family home anymore. Apparently they did not want to wait for the screaming hordes of reporters to come descending down upon them, and everybody is looking at that suspiciously. I, however, am not. If I was his family, I'd get the hell out of Dodge, too. Incidentally, the explicit light is on for this show for a reason. Now, there's lots of stories, coverage, rumors, conspiracy theories about Flight 370. This is this case, as of right now, as of when I wrote my show notes, which was during the day today, is one of the more baffling, mysterious, and odd cases of aircraft disappearances on record, ranking with some of the more famous cases in history, such as Flight 19. The entire story reads like most real-life mysteries, like it was a movie script, so obvious to the audience and the actors seem oblivious to what the plot is. Now, yesterday we were told breathless reporters were on the air. Breathless reporters. They were on the air and they were going, "We now have the sequence of events that happened when the plane disappeared. First, the ACARS unit was turned off. Then the transponder was turned off. And then, when the Malaysians handed over the airplane to the Vietnamese air traffic controllers, they said, 'All right, good night,' over the radio." Like it was some big mysterious thing. Well, guess what? They're handing it off to another controller, and that is a standard goodbye phrase that pilots say when they are moving on to a new air traffic control area. You hear that sometimes in the United States. Most times you don't, but sometimes you do. All right, good night. And when they're breathlessly reporting these nonsensical little bits of information that mean virtually nothing, it's a distraction from the main story. The main story is this: where is the aircraft? Where is it? And so, Sunday, March 16th, 2014, thus far, I have heard that this is just today, this is what I've heard today, that the pilots were absolutely the ones who hijacked the plane, and then I heard that they didn't, because there was no contact between them beforehand. They didn't get together beforehand. So there's no way they were like in cahoots together. Then I hear that it was the co-pilot. But no, that couldn't be, because he just started flying this model plane and didn't know any time beforehand that he would be assigned as a co-pilot to this particular aircraft. That's why he had the flight simulator in his home to practice on the new aircraft that he was going to fly. But wait, the pilot, he has a fine Muslim-sounding name. Maybe he was one of them there terrorist guys. Too bad he's an atheist and isn't religious in any way, shape, or form. So hold on. Their family moved out of the home just on Saturday. They're just up and left. That's very suspicious that they wouldn't be hanging around for the coming hordes of reporters. So another question at this point is, and I'll point, before I get to that, I'll point out that a lot of the stuff that you're hearing is just mindless banter that these cable news stations are talking about. You're seeing it on you're seeing it on every single cable news station. They're dredging up every unqualified so-called aviation expert to talk about this airplane like they have some answers or something, and nobody has any answers. And while I'm at it, these official announcements that keep coming out, hour after hour, day after day, they're doing nothing but confusing the entire issue. It's insane, because these guys come out and they go, well, maybe it went over that way, and no, it could be over this way, and maybe it's over here, and maybe it's there, and maybe this guy over here, maybe he's the one that hijacked it, but maybe it crashed over here, and maybe it's over here, and then who knows? And well, you know what? Maybe one of them there UFOs took the thing and just like vanished it, just like on Fringe. There's too many theories, too many conspiracies going on right now about this. And while I'm at it, another question that I have is this. All of these alphabet soup agencies around the world have the ability to spy on every single one of us in real time. Do they not? Isn't this what we've been told? Isn't this what Eric Snowden's been telling us? They get every single damn phone call. They know where your car is. They know where your GPS is. They know what you're doing, whether you're going up or down or in or out. or whatever the heck any American's doing anywhere in the world, because they're tracking us constantly all the time. They're spying on the German president, the British prime minister, the French people, the Brazilians. They're spying on virtually everybody. They know where everybody is, what everybody's saying, and everything else. That's what we've been told, right? And then if they can, if this is true, if they can, and there were Americans on this flight, so one has to presuppose that if they are indeed tracking all of us Americans and know where we all are at any one given time, so that the drone of death can come and get us at any time that we've misbehaved sufficiently, there were Americans on this plane. Why weren't they tracking them? If they track everybody, why didn't they know where their whereabouts were? Something about this just doesn't add up. If they, in fact, can track everybody, everywhere, and know where everybody is at any one time, then obviously somebody is hiding something in this case. And if not, then somebody is hiding something big. So let me get this straight. Another thing I want to get straight here. You mean to tell me that nobody is keeping a real-time eye on this part of the world, with all the near wars over islands over there, all of the terrorism, keeping an eye on communist countries? We're spying on Brazil, the UK, Germany, and France, but we're not keeping an eye on China and all those players over there, India, Pakistan, and the rest of them. I mean, we don't have a satellite parked over this area, constantly staring down, taking photographs, videos, and images. You seriously expect us to believe that they don't have that capability and that they don't use it? Oh, well, we just didn't happen to have a satellite in the area at that particular time. Really, I find that to be quite remarkable, if that is the case. At any rate, let's get back to the little show here. Hold on one second. I have an incoming message from some flounder. Let me see here. Yes. One of my associates is watching the show, and they're waiting for the end of the show when I will talk about what was sent to me. That is on a website that has apparently disappeared at this point. So let's continue on with the show as I try to make some sense out of all of this stuff. Hopefully you're following my train of thought on all of this that's happening. And from there's a website called Common Sense Conspiracy. And this guy is pretty good. He gets a pretty good bead on a lot of things that are happening in the world. And he says, or maybe it's a she, I don't know. I've never met the person, so I don't know if it's a he or she. Common Sense Conspiracy could actually be a woman. Huh, that's an interesting thought. I never thought of that before. Okay. The real question that everyone should be asking in the aftermath of this still unfolding tragedy is, why the hell can they not find this plane? So here go the excuses. The ocean is really, really big, and relative to it, a plane is really, really small. Okay, then, if the jet hits the ocean surface just right, it could submerge completely before any debris come off. Okay? The flight may have flown on for a while after it went off radar, making it hard for them to tell just what radius they need to be searching in. Okay. It still doesn't make any sense. They are no closer to finding anything this far out from the incident. Not a trace. The oil slicks were not related. The debris sighting was a false alarm. Flight 370 is still completely, totally just gone. This is from CommonSenseConspiracy.com. Just the other day, the mainstream media outlets were showing a terrific video from a private company that has now made the first HD satellite recordings of Earth. The video illustrated how this unbelievable technology could help in day-to-day life. From space, they were zooming in and analyzing traffic. You could see individual cars and individual people in near high time, all in high-definition video. Why can't they find the plane? President Obama can authorize a drone to fly right to where you are sitting right now and demolish you and everything around you. But they can't find this plane. The NSA can listen in to you while you're taking a poop in your bathroom. They can monitor your emails, and they know where you are pretty much all of the time if they wish to do so, but they can't find the plane. Police and law enforcement agencies routinely track cell phones with ease to find criminals, and it only when it matters enough to them to do it, of course. 239 people on the plane, and not one cell phone. No one on the global plane, including the Americans that were flying around the world, and I think one of them was actually moving over there, and they still can't find the plane. Are we trivializing the nature of a very difficult search? Not at all. But there are multiple nations using supposedly every technological advantage at their disposal to find a trace of this flight, and still they're coming up with a big, fat goose egg. And that is just a little bit hard to believe. Now, I want to get into some of the technical parts of this particular situation. And hold on one second while I check something here. And, oh, look, somebody sent me a wall of text through Skype. That's very, very interesting. Let me actually read this in real time to you. And you can see it right there on the right-hand side of the screen. This had better be good. Let me see here. Doomed airliner pilot was a political fanatic. Hours before taking control of the flight C-17 trial of a jailed opposition leader, as FBI revealed passengers could be at a secret location. Police investigate the data of flight simulator of Captain Zahari Ahmed Shah, and blah, blah, blah. Let's see here. Let's see here. It doesn't say exactly where this was published, but this could be a matter of interest, or it might not be a matter of interest. Who knows at this point? But what my associate was saying is that they're saying that the pilot was a political fanatic who attended the trial of a fellow political fanatic who is on trial. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. We'll have to research the source of that and see if there's any truth to it at all. And I wanted to get on to the technical side of this. Okay, let me see here. Let me go down here to this. And hold on, my screen share has frozen up. Pardon me while I unfreeze it. And let me see here. And, well, apparently my screen share has decided to take a crapper on me, unfortunately. So, what I'm going to do is, while I'm talking about this, I'm going to go ahead and reconnect the screen share and see what's happening with it. And apparently it is working. Consider the fact that Malaysia Airlines opted out of the Boeing Jet Data Services. This is when onboard computers track the performance of pivotal information about the aircraft. It's a messaging technology known as the Aircraft Communication Addressing and Report System, or ACARS. Boeing taps the same computer data via satellite links for subscribers to that service. And let me see here if I can possibly get this thing to work. Hold on one second here. I'm going to go like this and go like that, and hopefully everything is not going to work at all because it says access denied. It is keeping me out of my own screen share. But that's okay. We have ways around that I will explore while I am talking to you. Now, this ACAR system, it's designed for keeping tabs on the mechanical and electronic systems of the aircraft. It's not designed. It is not designed for, how shall we say, flight reporting. It's not designed for in-flight reporting. It sends data from the aircraft about the systems on the plane so mechanics can have parts on hand so there are fewer delays when they get to the airport that they're going to. Boeing warned of a computer systems takeover possibility of the 777 aircraft from the passenger compartment. This is listed in the Federal Register, and while I'm trying to do that, I am going to, let me see here, I'm going to go here, just like this, and see if I can get this screen share back up and running while I cleverly banter into the microphone and the camera. And we are waiting for that website to come up now. It appears that everything is continuing to work well on the broadcast. It appears that the broadcast is broadcasting okay. It appears to me. And yes, the call center is working good. And, well, you know what I'm going to do here? I'm going to shut that off, and then I'm going to restart it. Let me see here. Okay, did that. Go over here and do this, and maybe it will come back. And there we go. And guess what? The screen share is back. Okay, we can actually finish doing the show now. Isn't that amazing? That's your modern technology for you right there. You just never know what's going to happen on a live show, do you? Anyways, the ACAR system, it's not designed for in-flight reporting. In other words, it's not going to tell you what the flight controls are doing, what speed it's going, how fast it's going up or down or anything like that. It sends data from the aircraft about the systems on the plane so mechanics can have parts. You know, it might say, one of the tires is low in air pressure, or these brakes are wearing out, or this control surface is sticking a little bit. That way the mechanics can have the parts ready right there on the tarmac, so when the plane comes in, they can go ahead and fix it and get it back up in the air. That's what the ACAR system is designed for. Now, Boeing warned of a potential computer systems takeover from the passenger compartment on the 777 aircraft like the one that is missing. This is listed in the Federal Register. This particular little bit of information is it's abridged, so it's easier to read, and it comes from patdollard.com, patdollard.com. It's called Special Conditions, Boeing Model 777, 200, 300, and 300 ER Series airplanes. Aircraft Electronic System Security Protection from Unauthorized Internal Access. The integrated network configurations in the Boeing Model 777 series airplanes may enable increased connectivity with external network sources. That would be somebody sitting in the passenger compartment, and will have more interconnected networks and systems such as passenger entertainment and information services than previous airplane models. This may enable the exploitation of network security vulnerabilities and increased risks, potentially resulting in unsafe conditions for the airplanes and occupants. This potential exploitation of security vulnerabilities may result in intentional or unintentional destruction, disruption, degradation, or exploitation of data and systems critical to the safety and maintenance of the airplane. The existing regulations and guidance material did not anticipate this type of system architecture. So, what this is saying here is this. The airplane can be hacked. The systems in the airplane can be hacked. When I read about this, the Boeing Corporation was telling all of the airlines that had bought this plane over the years that they're the ones that had to upgrade the network in the plane. You have to upgrade the network and provide security for these vulnerabilities. So here's the question. Did Malaysian Air do these fixes? Did they upgrade the computer systems in these planes? I've heard nobody addressing this at all. Just a few of us out here on the internet are, nobody in the mainstream news. So we have conditions where the aircraft can be compromised from outside of the internal network, and Boeing was advising all airlines to increase security of these aircraft. Now, on to another report. So we know that this safety issue, and there are links that I am going to provide right after the show. The show is going to be the show notes are going to be up on freedomtalkradio.net right after the show. They will be appearing on the front page. They will replace the Flight 370 running editorial that I have on the front page, and it will also be in its own post as well. All of these show notes with all of the links that I'm talking about. There are over 20 links to for all of this information. Now, before I go on to an article that comes from another website, I want to show you. Let me see here. I want to show you first the radar plot of the flight. Now, I made this myself using information available from the Malaysian government, and I did not copy it from any other website because I don't want to get into any copyright trouble, because making a graphic and a map like this isn't that hard. Now, when we're talking about the radar and civilian radar, there's two types of civilian radar. There is a type of radar, I believe this is the secondary, even though my graphic says it's the primary, that paints the aircraft with a radar signal, so they get a blip. That's how, when you see UFO reports around aircraft, that's why sometimes the flight controllers will actually see a blip on their radar, because they do have a radar scan that paints the aircraft as they are flying around. Now, the secondary radar plots the aircraft location according to the transponders on the aircraft. So that's one of the main reasons why this thing just seemed to vanish from radar. And when it didn't really vanish, civilian radar just isn't its primary focus isn't bouncing things off of airplanes. It's using the transponder so they know what plane is showing up on their radar, because otherwise it would just be a massive little dots all over the place. So, I mean, you've probably seen it in movies or in documentaries. Each little airplane indicator on the radar has the flight number and other information about that aircraft, so they know who they're talking to. When they're guiding these aircraft around. So, at any rate, this is the path that the aircraft took. First, it went up in this direction right here, just like that. Of course, it didn't make that little S that I just made. It went straight up like that, and then it made that little jog that I'm sure all of you have seen on the radar, and then it went over to this point right here, then it went up to this point right here, and then it went out to this point right here, and then it went up this way, and that's when the military radar lost track of it. So those are where the plane went. This is what they're thinking is at this point. This is what they put together from the military and civilian radar plots. Now, these little balloons that you see right here, these are called waypoints. Okay, waypoints are basically points on a map. Sometimes they have beacons in the real world. Sometimes it's just done with GPS. But the little beacons, or waypoints, are where an aircraft or a vehicle make a turn. You go to this point, and you make your turn, go to this point, make your turn, go to this point. So these are, what you're seeing here are the waypoints of the aircraft flight. And it appears that, let's see, military radar had a brief painting of what appears to be the aircraft 200 miles north of Penang Island, to the northwest of Malaysia. And the radar return shows that the jet turns toward the Andaman Islands. And let me check something right here. Okay. We can go back to the screen share. There we go. And that is the radar plot as we understand it at this point. Now, next, I want to show you a graphic that I've put together using Google Maps and the information that they have put out. And this is, in a circular pattern, the range of the aircraft. You can see that the potential range for the aircraft would have included Australia. It would have included Mongolia, Korea, southern part of Japan, Iran, Pakistan, India, Tajikistan, and I believe Oman at the extreme range of the plane. However, the plane did do that thing here where it did this, and then went over like that, and then went up like that. So you've got about an hour or 2 hours worth of fuel used already at that point. So the range was significantly less. I doubt very much if they could have turned around from up here and made it down to Australia. So you can pretty much rule out that. Potentially they could have made it up to that area, but given the current circumstances and the fact that they were traveling in this direction, this would be a more likely area to look for an aircraft on the ground. Why do I say that? Because of this article right here from airlinereporter.com. It's airlinereporter.com. And this is from their head editor, the main guy there. Since Saturday, March 8th, I was convinced this was an act of air piracy in some form. Very good. Conversations with some people I know in the national security industry and security journalists only convinced me more. It was very interesting for me to hear, among the men who kept their countries safe across the oceans, questions not of where are the debris, but more sinister and concerning, what was in the unscreened cargo. Ha! You didn't see that coming, did you? Didn't think so. Probably haven't heard that on your mainstream news. Unscreened cargo aboard this aircraft. Pardon me, I had to clear my throat. The DHS, Department of Homeland Security, cannot even confirm what LD3, that would be your cargo positions, LD3 cargo positions aboard this aircraft were full. The question then became, was there anything valuable enough in the cargo hold that a major state actor would want the cargo that badly? Got that? What was in the cargo hold that could potentially pique the interest of a major bad actor on the world stage? So, with furthermore, the plane was flying from Malaysia to Beijing to China. China does not, I repeat, not let aircraft fly in to their country without a pre-screening of the cargo. Period. Why would China? This is over at airlinereporter.com. Airlinereporter.com. They have been doing some excellent investigation on this. Why would China release the aircraft for flight when they otherwise demand all cargo be pre-screened and have actually denied airspace entry to aircraft that did not meet the requirements for their freight? Why was this aircraft allowed to even take off? So, with all of that in mind, as well as the fact that 20 engineers from a company called Freescale Semiconductors were on board, and apparently, according to reports that I have not been able to pin down, I have attempted to call Freescale Semiconductors and have not gotten any answers to my satisfaction. But this article right here says, so with that in mind, as well as the fact that 20 engineers, and they were not from America, they were from, I think, Malaysia and China, were on board that were working on military-grade RF power systems. Now you get the potential. Of you got people that are working on RF stuff, and for this one particular company, is there a possibility that there was maybe some radar equipment in the cargo bay that was undocumented, that was flying into China for some reason? Whereas were the Chinese purchasing some military equipment? But that doesn't really make any sense either. Why would they have it on a Malaysian airliner when they could fly it in with a military cargo plane under much safer conditions? So that one theory right there doesn't really make a lot of sense, does it? Why would anybody put cargo that valuable on a passenger airliner and not use a military cargo transport instead? Were they trying to hide something by doing it that way? Maybe I've been watching too many episodes of Fringe lately. Maybe that's what the problem is. Anyways, this author over at airlinereporter.com says, well, if you ask me, and that's the whole point of this exercise, the cabin or technical crew had to at least partially be in on it. Either that or the two quote-unquote asylum seekers with identical legs were secretly even more obvious state actors and also skilled. The state actors, as he puts it, were the Iranian asylum seekers whose photos had obviously photoshopped identical legs. And as we all know, the Iranians are so damn good at photoshopping missiles and stuff into photos without making it look totally obvious that they have photoshopped 100 missiles into an already existing photograph. No, they're not that good at photoshopping. So take that for what you will. 40 minutes after the departure, whatever crew members or operators were on board acted to put their piracy operation into play. They turned southwest near IGAR and managed to overfly Malaysia with nobody noticing it. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you where that is right there. That's that waypoint right there. Overflying Malaysia without anybody noticing is that line right there. Okay? So let's go back to the show notes. And it overflew Malaysia. But, I mean, if the thing's flying at 30,000 feet, who the hell's going to notice an airplane flying overhead? Unless he's talking about the air traffic controllers. Turn southwest near IGAR, or IGAR, Igari, and managed to overfly Malaysia without anyone noticing. Or if they did, they sure are not saying anything, are they? You fly for a bit and find yourself over the Indian Ocean. So say you're over a checkpoint called IGREX, Edrex, and you turn northwest and fly over India. You fly a very select route with all your transponders, including the XPNDR, turned off. With the XPNDR turned off, that also turns off the data necessary for TCAS to work. So you could fly very close or under an identified aircraft and ghost on secondary and primary civilian radar. You could then fly over India, over the notoriously porous country of Pakistan, and then into a country in Central Asia that he is not naming, but has hangars large enough to handle a 747 and numerous 14,000-foot runways. And why there? Because there is that exact airport within a 6.5-hour airtime that matches distance within 50 miles from what the Malaysian government stated the aircraft had flown. So which country is he talking about? Over India, over Pakistan, over hill, over dale, and maybe to a country with a vowel as the first letter. And so, onto the head editor's final opinion. For all of you 9/11 conspiracy experts out there, here is your giant red flag waving in the breeze, and a tragic one-car accident while you're sleeping waiting to happen for those foolish enough to follow this trail to its conclusion. Will the airplane be used for a second 9/11 that will scare soccer moms forever? No. Absolutely 100% no. If we ever see this aircraft again, it will be in a manufactured crash site in a country where where the said Central Asian state actor could easily fly debris and say, "Look, check this out. We found a crashed plane." Of course, the FDR and CVR data will never be found because whoever finds the debris will take the lead on the investigation and simply not release it. Furthermore, if they give the data recorders back to Malaysia, Malaysia is the head of the World Islamic Bank. They launder money for these countries, and it's in their best interest to keep their yaps shut. And then there's that to muddy the waters even more. So that's that information. Now, what he was saying about the soccer moms. Scare soccer moms forever. Because you and I, your mother, your brother, your sister, your ma, and your pa, and any grandparents that are still alive have all heard the conspiracy that this plane is going to be loaded up with a EMP device, and it's going to be flown over the United States. They're going to set off this EMP device, and it's going to destroy us all. That's what it is. It's a super secret North Korean hijacking scheme that's going to set off an EMP and kill us all. If you believe that, I got a great bridge in New Jersey to sell you, because I am about to take you a little bit afield on this to assuage your fears and any other fears that you have, and at the same time also straighten a few things out that people think they know about EMP devices when they are basically blowing smoke out their asses. And here is why. If you go to my personal homepage. It's my personal homepage. It's open to the public. Anybody can go there and see it. It is at northernmichigansolar.com/intranet330. northernmichigansolar.com, intranet 330. And oddly enough, it's called Zamistan. So, anyways, I have a link right here to a permanent article right here that is called EMP Myths, How to Actually Survive. Let's look at the article. This is written by Jerry Emilson, BSEE at Future Science LLC. Much of the, he talks about hemp, okay? That's the actual real term for an EMP. It's called the High Altitude Nuclear Electromagnetic Pulse. And some of the things that I've heard is that this aircraft, there is no way that this aircraft could gain sufficient altitude to set off a nuclear bomb inside of it that would cause a sufficient EMP to knock out a considerable amount of the United States. That may be true, or it may not. Much of the literature on these high-altitude electromagnetic pulses are either classified nor are they easily accessible. Probably because of this, some of what is openly available tends to vary in accuracy greatly, especially when you're talking about the Internet. Now, there are extremists. Some general extremists will say, they set off an EMP, it'll be the end of the world as we know it. That's it, we're done. Back to the Stone Age. We're dead. Goodbye. Kiss us goodbye. Anybody can come in and invade us. That'll be it. We're done. No more nothing. You can plan on going down to the local mud puddle to get your water and getting dysentery and dying within a week. And there are other people that say, no big deal. Nothing much is going to happen at all. The truth, of course, lies somewhere in between. Because you get, from an EMP, you get the thing that all cars are going to die. They'll just go, that's going to be it. They're just going to stop. Here's the thing. They use modern electronics. Yes, cars do. However, modern electronics in vehicles are designed rather ruggedly to put up with extremes in temperature, electrical output from the car, water, vibration, and everything else. Don't forget that they are also surrounded by metal of the vehicle. As more and more synthetics are used in vehicle bodies, that will change, but any modern car that has metal fenders and a metal hood and a metal frame around it is going to have significantly less exposure to an EMP. A car also does not have very long cabling to act as antennas, because in order for electronics to be destroyed by an EMP, it has to have a long wire attached to it to act as the antenna for the EMP pulse. A car does not have long enough wiring to act as an antenna, and there is significant protection from the metallic construction. Wristwatches. People have really poo-pooed movies where the electronics in a helicopter are just blown out by an EMP, but the star's wristwatch still runs. That's just unrealistic. Here's the thing. A wristwatch has extremely short wiring runs in it, and there's no possible way it could be affected by an EMP. No possible way. There's not enough wiring in there for it to pick up the signal as an antenna. Also, you have to consider electrons. There has to be energetic electrons present in order for this to have a great effect, and many times there aren't. If you turn electronic equipment off, if you leave your house in the morning and turn your computer off and unplug it, an EMP goes off, it's not going to really harm the computer. It's probably not going to hurt your computer. Don't forget, it's encased in metal. Okay? You got a metal box sitting there with a circuit board in it with very short wiring runs to not act as an antenna. And if you unplug the thing, when the power finally does come back up, guess what? You plug in your computer, you're good to go. So there are, you need to go to northernmichigansolar.com/intranet330 and go and see the EMP-ments, how to actually survive, because even if somebody did take this plane with the idea that they were going to set off an EMP, it's not going to be that effective of a weapon for them to do it. I have heard a much more plausible scenario that maybe somebody took this plane to make it look like a different kind of a plane and crash it as a bomb someplace where somebody's getting ready to invade another country. Because don't forget, if this was a Muslim actor that took this thing, as some people are presupposing, and the thing was flown to a country with a vowel at the beginning of it as the first letter, there are a significant number of like people of a similar religious point of view living in a certain country that may be invaded by another country in the near future. And I'll just leave that at that and let you make your own conclusions about that. Now, tracking the flight. A combination of various flight radars from civilian radar, primary and secondary, as well as military radar, show the flight made several course changes. We went over that before with the radar plot that I have been showing you, as well as the range of the aircraft. It is also now known that the engines, the Rolls-Royce engines in the plane, continued to report their condition as the plane flew on for some 5 hours. This lends credence to the supposition above that computers can be hacked on this particular aircraft and cause disruption, destruction, or exploitation of data. Could the flight computers... Now, here's a interesting theory that may be plausible, may not be plausible. I happen to like this particular theory. If you're going from the... somebody hijacking the airplane from the... passenger compartment. If it was somebody in the passenger compartment, the state actor, as airlinereporter.com had in their article, if somebody took over the flight computers, obviously they could turn off the all of the transponders and whatnot, and turn off all of the running lights and all of the cabin lights, and if they could get into the flight computers, since this is a glass cockpit, by glass cockpit I mean all of the screens are electronic. There aren't any mechanical gauges on this thing except for an emergency. And airline pilots typically turn on their autopilots like a minute after they take off. They flip the autopilot on and it goes to all the waypoints and everything and flies to where it's supposed to go. Now, presupposing that computer systems were taken over in the plane by somebody in the passenger compartment, maybe by something as simple as a smartphone. These androids nowadays can actually control drones. Did you know that? You can build yourself a octocopter, an 8-rotor little remote control helicopter, put a camera on it, and you can control the thing from your Android phone. It's very interesting possibilities there. Now, here's my question. Could this have been done and fed false data to the pilots, making them think they are on course when they are not? Could the autopilot have been reprogrammed in flight to fly to these different waypoints that this aircraft flew to? The going to the northeast, and then going to the southwest, and then going to the northwest, and then finally heading out towards India. Is it possible that all of this could have been done by somebody taking over the computer system? Could the autopilot be hacked to steer the plane off course to a desired location? Would a crew member even be needed for this exploitation? But there are many versions of the radar story as well. First, contact was lost, then it flew on for another hour, then it was 4 hours, then 7 hours, and then 5 hours. By the time you read this, by the time I'm reading this on the air right now, the damn thing could still be in the air for all we know, because there's so many different stories about how long it was in the air. Sadly, the only thing they are doing so far with all of these different stories that they're telling us, even though I'm attempting to present as many facts that we know as possible on this show. They are this prime minister out there in Malaysia. He keeps coming out and yapping every couple of hours, coming out with a different story every couple of hours. So he's they're just muddying up the waters is all they're doing. And the networks, the mainstream networks, they're doing the same thing. They're just, every time somebody has a hiccup, they come out and report it like it's big news when it's not, when they should. But at the same time, I'm sorry, I'm speaking so fast, I'm interrupting myself. But one has to remember, in the 24-hour news cycle, whoever's on the air first wins with the story. So this is why they all rush to get on the air first. Me, I don't particularly care if I'm first or not. I prefer to be as accurate as possible. Sure, it's great to be the first one reporting it, but hey, you want to be as accurate as possible. This is why they go on the air and they're like telling you the three things that happened when the airplane was lost. It's like, who cares? It's not news. Big deal. So, one aspect, the other aspect, as I mentioned before at the top of the show, is that given the current level of government spying around the world, one would think that a couple of mouse buttons, mouse clicks, and somebody with satellite accessibility could solve this straight away. But that neglects one simple fact, that in order to have viewed the flight, one would have to presuppose there was a need to watch this particular plane on this particular flight. And there is not, as apparently there was no need for them to be keeping an eye on these particular flights coming out of Malaysia. So there's that to consider, too, when you're talking about, well, why the heck can't they find this plane? Nobody was expecting it to go disappear. That's one thing. So before I finish up the show, and we're getting close to the end of the show now, I've been talking about this for over an hour now, and you're probably waiting for me to get to the juicy part, so I will do that shortly. Over at Wikipedia, they have an excellent Flight 370 page going that is being updated by apparent professionals that has information about the aircraft. Malaysia Airlines Flight 370, also marked as China Southern Airlines Flight 748, through a code share, was a scheduled passenger flight from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia to Beijing, China. We already know it had 12 crew members, 227 passengers from 15 countries. The aircraft made contact with air traffic control less than an hour after takeoff, and then after that it vanished. We know all this already. It's covering the search area is covering 27,000 nautical miles, which is 36,000 square miles, or for those of you in Europe and other places, 93,000 kilometers. In the Strait of Malacca and the South China Sea, and it's being conducted by 12 different countries. And there's my little radar graphic again, right there. Officials are indicating that they are going to look well west of the authorized flight path, which would be this area over here, as we talked about. Oh, didn't mean to do that. My apologies for making that too small. Let me move that up there like that and make that back to where it's supposed to be. There we go. At any rate, that's why they're looking to the west of the flight path where it was supposed to go, is because of the radar plots. That's why I have that graphic up on there. Let's see. It appears to be shows as multiple sources of location data show the plane intentionally changing course towards the Indian Ocean. Concerns mounted over the aircraft. The aircraft deviated due to a deliberate action. No, duh. Now, much has been written about this particular aircraft, and I have collected as many links and data sources as I can about this story and this mystery. The best ones that I have been able to find over the past week and that people have been sending to me, the ones that appear to have the most accurate reporting on them. I also have, flight radar. I have a link for flight radar that shows the initial track of the plane, so you can see that, along with the goofy, fast-moving airplane that you've probably heard about on YouTube, so that you can see that for yourself. You can actually go right to the site, click on the link, and watch that. Let me see here. Washington Post said, I believe it was yesterday, I think this is Saturday. Yeah, this is when I was writing this. And I have a point to make about this, too. These comments that the Malaysian Prime Minister Najib Razak said on Saturday that a missing passenger jet was steered off course after its communications were intentionally disabled and could have potentially flown for 7 additional hours. In the most comprehensive account to date of the plane's fate, Najib drew an ominous picture of what happened aboard Malaysia Airlines MH370, saying investigators had determined that there was deliberate action by someone on the plane. Okay. Now, let me ask you a question. How the hell was this determination made? What evidence do they have? The transponders were shut off. All they have is intermittent radar data. Would somebody call them from the airplane? Say, hey, somebody's flying this thing around. It's not going on course. They get a call from the pilot? Maybe. How did they get this information? How did they make this determination that somebody had intentionally steered this thing off course? How did they make that determination? What data or information has been learned that would lead the Prime Minister to say this? Was it the flight simulator in the pilot's home? Was it the fake passports? Is there information about some of the passengers? To presuppose facts before they are investigated to their fullest only does one thing and one thing only. It causes more pain for the families of the people on the aircraft. Back to my first question. How do they know? How does this guy, this Prime Minister, know? How the hell could they get any evidence? Well, they got a radar track and that's it. They got something, phone call maybe? Something like that? Maybe somebody called an SOS out? Who knows? Plane's whereabouts remain unknown, but 1 week after it disappeared from civilian radar, Najib cited newly analyzed satellite data and said the plane could have flown along two paths, one stretching from northern Thailand toward the Kyrgyzstan-Turkmenistan border, which I showed you on the map earlier, the overlay right here of the aircraft range, which would have been right up here. They're showing this arc right here like this, or another arc down there like that, where it could have flown. Apparently, they're completely blowing off that it could have flown this way, or could have flown this way, or could have flown this way. It's somewhere on this arc, according to their data. And though U.S. officials previously said they believe the plane could have remained in the air for several extra hours, Najib said Saturday that the flight was still communicating with satellites until 8:11 a.m., 7.5 hours after takeoff, and more than 90 minutes after it was due in Beijing. So, and I've also heard on the interwebs there that apparently there was more fuel than was allotted for this plane, loaded on the plane. So I'm not exactly buying that, given that it stayed in the air 90 minutes longer than it would have if it had flown directly to Beijing like it was supposed to. So that's 90 minutes worth of fuel. One would think that there would be enough reserves in the tank for that 90 minutes, because frequently aircraft have to go into a holding pattern and circle the airport for a while. If there's inclement weather, an accident, airplane crash, or something like that, they have to circle. They have to have enough fuel to go to the nearest diversion field in case something happens at that airport, like a terrorist attack, fire, or their systems go down or something like that. So there's going to be reserves. If it only flew for an additional 90 minutes after it would have landed at Beijing, I'm going to blow off the theory that there was additional fuel on the aircraft that was unaccounted for. I'm just not buying that particular theory. And let me see here. Okay, alrighty. We have a guest that wants to call into the show. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this, because this being a highly polished and technically advanced network and show, I'm not going to show you all the crazy stuff that I'm doing behind the scenes. That's what I'm going to do right here. I am going to do it like that, and click that, and go over here like this, and let me see here, and do that, and click that over here like this, and then I am going to say, right here on the air, hold on, let me do this just like that. Okay, I'm going to say that the person that just sent me the message that said they had something to say can now go ahead and call me via Skype. And we'll see if they actually are listening and paying attention to what I am saying. Anyways, back into the show. So I'm not buying that there was extra fuel loaded on the plane that was undocumented. I'm potentially buying the theory that there was undocumented cargo on the plane, but I'm not really buying that either. That only came from one website that I saw, although this gentleman does appear to be of good street credit and credentials, and appears to know what he's talking about, and has a respected website, industry respected website. So I'm going to say, if he says that the cargo was undocumented and was released to fly to China when it shouldn't have been, against Chinese rules, then I'm going to say that there may actually be something to it. And so now we're at 8:11 local time. The aircraft has been flying for many, many, many hours. It's at this point 90 minutes overdue to land in Beijing. So technically, what we're saying here is a lot of people have put some weight behind the fact that, according to the data, the aircraft went up to 45,000 feet. A lot of people are saying, well, maybe the pilots went on the oxygen, went on compressed oxygen, decompressed the cabin, and killed all the passengers so that there wouldn't be a mass uprising. But if the plane flew to 8:11, which is 90 minutes after it was supposed to land, these passengers might not have even known that this aircraft had been hijacked. And maybe they're being used for hostage purposes. But there's other interesting information as well. The Wall Street Journal is the one that started all of the talk about the engines sending their monitoring report. And the Boeing data alerts that, according to my information, the Malaysian Airlines does not take part in the Boeing data alert system. However, they may monitor the aircraft on their own. And here's some information that you probably haven't heard about the engine monitoring system. The engine monitoring systems are used to check the health of the aircraft engines to avoid costly repairs. So it has things like fuel pressure, the amount of fuel being used, the RPMs, the compression levels, and whatnot in the engines. The engine monitoring systems involve using sensors placed in various locations in an aircraft engine to gather information about the engine's performance. The sensors provide real-time information to pilots on the operation of the engines and also capture data for analysis of the performance of the engine over time, which would be another reason why that was not shut off. So whoever was flying the plane would actually have good data on the engines while they were flying. The data captured reveals important information about the health of the engine. For example, sensors will monitor how much fuel it takes to make a set amount of power. Data from the sensors are accumulated and transmitted at regular intervals to ground stations monitored by the engine manufacturers. Alert messages indicating anomalies are instantly transmitted. According to Rolls-Royce's website, the engine data is transmitted via satellite feed. And according to the information we have, the engines on this plane kept reporting up until about 8 a.m. local time, about 7 hours after it took off. Hold on one moment while I send a brief message to a listener. I'm going to do that while I do this. Let me see here. Where the heck is he here? Over here. Where the heck is he? And let's see here. It appears the person that wanted to talk has gone off of Skype. Very good. That's marvelous. Marvelous. Hey, I want to come on the show, and then it just disappears. So then there's that. But it could be he's having computer issues, so maybe he'll call here in a few minutes. Now, we're getting to the end of the show with some of the theories that are floating around and the information that I received from the website that has mysteriously disappeared. Maybe it was temporary, maybe it wasn't, maybe the website's back up by now. I am not going to check while I'm on the air. This whole thing reminds me a lot of the television show Fringe. The Fringe team used fringe science and FBI investigative techniques, if you haven't ever seen the show, to investigate a series of unexplained and ghastly occurrences which were related to mysteries surrounding a parallel universe. Therefore, my pet conspiracy about this is that the plane was somehow moved to a parallel universe and everybody is just fine. But more seriously, there are other questions, such as this. Did the plane break up in midair? Did the engines fail at some point? Did the cabin pressure drop suddenly, causing the pilot to lose consciousness? Did the pilot commit suicide? Was this a terrorist attack? And the final tidbit for the show, and I'm going to read it to you straight from what I've gotten. I got this via email. I found it shortly before showtime. And as I said, the website that this is purportedly from is down, as in white screen of death, gone, not responding on the internet. Either it has gone down to a denial of service attack, somebody has taken it down purposefully, and it's not just a 404 article not found, and it's not that this website's not responding. It's nothing. It's like, it's just a white screen. I've seen that before. It usually means some type of a critical error in a PHP script that is just like stopping and not letting the page load. That could have been done by somebody on purpose. It could be an accident. Who knows? But if it was a couple of days ago, as I know it was, and it suddenly went down today, you got to take it with a grain of salt, I say. So this is what is at this website, and I'm saving this to the end of the show because, well, when you come up with stuff like this, people have a tendency to get mad and attack you, and your computers get hacked and things like that. So I figured I'd save it to the end of the show so I can go unplug all of my computers from the internet so they can't break into my computers because I won't be on the internet. Alrighty, here we go. You ready? March 12th, 2014. The location of the missing Malaysian Airlines flight MH370 is known to authorities and is being actively covered up. And there's the first bombshell from this website. Yeah, okay. We have learned that cellular telephones of passengers on the flight are ringing when called, okay? We've all heard that already, okay? We've seen it on YouTube. You've seen it on, I think even CNN had this on there, that people are calling their relatives and friends and family members that have been that were on this airplane, and the phones are ringing. Now, this is something that's new right here. At least 19 calls to these phones were answered and then hung up. And that's according to this website. I am finding no independent confirmation of this. So this, as far as I'm concerned, is a conspiracy theory. That 19 calls to these phones were answered and then immediately hung up. This means the cell phones are within range of a cell phone tower, and the cellular system has pinged the phones so as to route inbound calls to them. That ping also gives a GPS location of the phone. So why are governments claiming the plane is missing, according to this website? Now you can see why somebody would want to take that crap down. Contributors to this website from the FBI Joint Terrorism Task Force okay, are saying they have reason to believe the plane is being repainted to look like a different regularly scheduled flight to ferry a nuclear bomb over a city where its detonation would unleash World War III. I knew that World War III was going to come into this somewhere. I'm surprised Planet X hasn't gotten here yet. Maybe it got sucked up by a UFO from Planet X. Who knows? The motive: get rid of all the useless eaters who feed off the government handouts and wipe out all the unserviceable depths of the world. Governments around the world who would all conveniently agree to a reset. The mystery has turned into a cover-up regarding the missing Malaysia Airlines flight MH370 to the point where relatives are outraged with officials for refusing to disclose what they know, especially after authorities tighten security around the hotel where the loved ones are, keeping them more in the dark than the rest of the world. Outrage over Malaysia Airlines missing jet cover-up resulted in family members throwing objects at officials during an update meeting because they are hiding information about the plane that vanished 5 days ago. The other thing this article says is that they have indeed given the phone numbers to the officials, and the officials say they have tried the phones and they're not ringing or anything. It's like they have been turned off or run out of battery, which would beg the question, why haven't we heard anything about the officials in Malaysia or Beijing or, hell, the United States or anywhere else for that matter? The officials saying, you know what, we went ahead and we got the phone number, we got the cell phone number from the family members that are on that plane. We got like 50 of them here. And we've been calling these phones, and the phones aren't ringing, okay? So the phones are not in service. They're not turned on. They're not charged up. They probably are at the bottom of the ocean or have been destroyed or something. So the phones aren't ringing. But according to this, several days, I guess 5 days after the plane was disappeared, that's when the officials started calling the cell phone numbers. And they only called 2. Not all of them. Not at least the quote-unquote 19 that were answered and immediately hung up. So something may be afoot in that particular realm. Like I said, I'm striking this up as a conspiracy theory simply because I'm not seeing any additional information on this. But it could be true, and you could be hearing it here first. So who knows? And that is my show about Flight 370. Hopefully I went through it in a logical manner, logical enough for most people to be able to follow. That is the information as of, what is it? It's 4:30 p.m. Sunday, March 16th, 2014. That is the information that I have available and what I have found. Like I said, if you look over here on our website, and I'm going to upload this probably within a half an hour after the end of the show. These are all of the links, graphics, articles, and everything else I have been able to find about this that I would consider reliable. So, at this point, I'm going to say thank you for watching and listening. And hopefully, at this point, I'm going to say I certainly hope they find the aircraft intact and that the passengers are all still alive. That would be the best situation. And even if they're being held for ransom or as a some type of a plot or something like that, at least they're alive and there's a chance that they could be reunited with their loved ones. That's who the heck knows what's going on with this thing. But I believe that I am in agreement with the most popular theory that the plane was hijacked and has been landed somewhere off the grid, apparently, because nobody can find a thing on the ground. And it appears that it's been hijacked. Maybe the pilot just crashed the thing into an island or something, or who the hell knows what happened. Maybe the UFOs did pick them up. But that's the show for this week. My name is Bill Zam. You have been watching Surrounded by Idiots. Thank you for taking some time out of your busy schedule to watch the show. And be sure to send your birthday greetings to Queen Theodora Maxine Lord Sphincter de Catville, our 21-year-old cat. Have a good week, and be careful out there because there are many, many crazy people.